out here. So guys, I want to know what your takeout is from this book about fear. I mean, I believe none of us would tell us that they've not ever been afraid of something, ever been afraid of failing, ever been afraid of being rejected, ever been afraid of not doing things the right way, ever been afraid of maybe not looking that good, not being qualified enough, not being beautiful enough to be in this room or something like that. I want to hear from you people. What have you picked out today about fear? Maybe before we go to other people, I would want to hear from the author of the book himself, Mr. Otieno Paul Peter.
Thanks, Noel, and welcome all the people who are joining us today. We are happy to have all of you. Now, this is a very important topic, and almost everyone has failed to implement something in which they would have succeeded because of fear. Everybody, at one point or the other. And you will only realize that you fear because you are not doing what you are supposed to do. And I've narrated their stories, just sample stories, but there are many, many of them. And when I was joining the business world, I realized that I would ask a number of people who are in employment, for example, what is your dream? You know, I loved this idea of dream, mission, called what's your purpose in life? And somebody will tell you, in 2 years, 3 years, I won't be in this employment. I will be running my business. And down the line, you realize that they are at the same level. They are still doing the same thing. And why? Why do they do that? It's because of the same old fear. Same old fear. So there is a lot of fear amongst us, fear of failure. We tend to paint a lot of ugly pictures in our minds and see all the possibilities of failure and therefore do not take action. And as has been mentioned, I learned that where you find fear, there will always be these other two: doubt and worry. The moment fear gets into you, you'll doubt your possibility, your abilities, you'll doubt your credentials, you'll doubt whether you are qualified enough. Even if you wanted to apply for a promotion, you start doubting, will they pick me? What makes me believe that I am the best? And all such things, you see. Now, the same thing will, that very same time, you'll start getting worried about lots of other things. Yeah, what if you failed? And you don't get to have a positive attitude, and that will always stop you from progress. So fear, doubt, and worry work together in synchrony, in what I would call a symphony orchestra. Yes, they work together, and they will always block you from, they hold the brake pads tightly. They block you from moving forward. Now, I love to say that fear is very courageous. People hardly notice this. You do not need to encourage your fear. Fear will just walk in and will dominate you. And if you do not take charge, fear will make you believe everything wrong is going to happen. You see, and worry gets into your heart and you start having nightmares. The very same fear. And in the next episode, we will be dealing with now how to handle those problems specifically. But one thing we've got to know, and that's why I say to be forewarned is to be forearmed, is that the moment you get that fear, you may need to doubt your fears and doubt your doubts. You need to fear your fears and doubt your doubts, and encourage your courage, because courage appears to be very timid. Most times you will not see, like Mandela said there, it's not absence of fear. Courage simply means there is fear, but you're going to do it anyway. You do it despite fear. You do it despite feeling uneasy about it, feeling not very competent, but you take action. And many times people realize that whatever they achieved, it was just a bit of courage that they employed. You do not need too much courage. You do not need excess of it. I think just like Jesus talks about, just a bit, just a wee bit of faith, and the rest will take care of itself. So just taking courage to take the first step and trusting that things will be well. Yes, you get rid of worry and start having that hope, start having that little faith. So we must learn to discourage our fear and encourage our courage. We must give ourselves that boost to ensure that we are able to take the action that we are supposed to take. And that means we consult between our fear, check as that phrase ends, that part of the book ends, is that I consulted my desire for success and fear. Which one weighs more? If you realize that you are becoming inactive, you are stopping where you are, then it means that your desire for success is actually lower than your fear of failure. But if our desire for success is strong enough, is stronger than our fear of failure, we will go ahead and do it anyway. And this is what I discovered, that the moment you start doing it anyway, you realize that what you really fear does not exist. Whatever we fear does not exist. This is a philosophy I started developing from childhood when I was growing up, and back in the village, well, there was no electricity, no light at night. And the very same route you passed during the day will look very terrifying. The shrubs that you saw during the day will look like people squatting and always timing you and all sorts of things. Where you always walk, you feel like somebody is following you and you can hear footsteps, you see, and all sorts of things. But then when I started asking myself, how can it be that during the day this place was just okay? What has changed other than the absence of the sun, the absence of sunlight? And the moment I developed that particular attitude, I stopped hearing the footsteps following me. I stopped seeing things squatting and waiting for me. Occasionally, whenever I was left in our small house back at home, we had some other hangings on the wall. And whenever I was alone at night, I would see them dangling in a particular fearful, terrifying way. And I would hear people maybe touching the door, touching the window. And we had a mabati door, you see, made of iron sheet. And it would make a lot of noise, more so if it's raining and all sorts of things. And it would be terrifying. But the moment I changed my attitude from that, I realized that whatever we fear does not really exist. Now, I've also mentioned about registering a business. Actually, it was that year, around that time, 2009, when I registered ICT Gurus, EA. ICT Gurus was registered as, they registered it as an agency. I didn't like that name as well, so I had to change it along the way. I didn't do anything, any business with it, and there was a bit of fear to do with it. What would happen to me if my employer notices that I'm doing such a business? Number two, where would I get the customers? And all sorts of negative things going in my mind. But I later implemented that, quite late, almost 7 or so years later, when I started to now act on it. So fear will stop us from getting where we want to be, and so does worry and doubt. Fear will bring in doubt. Fear will bring in all the worry. Now, fear has stopped even people from getting to talk to the people they think they love or they would like to be their life partners. Yes, how will they look at me? How will she or he look at, and all sorts of things? Yes, if we look around and check all that we are supposed to do, enough of us have registered businesses, but nobody knows about them because you can't tell them about it. Why? Because you fear. What will they, how will they look at me? Fear of rejection. You see, we fear being rejected. We fear being told no, because when we are told no, we will feel hurt. We will feel bad about it. You see, so fear has very many facets, and it's a long topic. But it's enough for us right now to get to know that fear, doubt, and worry have stopped many of us from implementing what we are supposed to, from living our dreams, from getting started. Because there are only two ways to fail, like we usually say: failing to start and failing to finish. So many of us fail at the start because we fail to start. And what stops us from doing that? Taking fast action, because we always say a journey of 1,000 steps starts by a single step. 1,000 miles start by a single step. It is fear itself, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and all sorts of forms of fear. Thank you.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana. Maybe we should also